Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of FemFlex Friday. Today we have an amazing topic, Linda.
We do.
And I'm really happy to present it to you guys. We have two amazing ladies with us here today. Some amazing athletes that actually went through life hardships. They raised above them, and with their experience and their knowledge accumulated from these hardship episodes, they decided to empower other women.
Yes.
We have Sara Hurrle and Serena Settlemier with us here today, guys. Ladies, welcome
Sara.
to our
hey,
show.
Serena.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, ladies. I would really like to go through your athletic background because you've both been professional athletes, right? Sara, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Hey, guys. Great to be here. It's an honor. You guys both know you are two legends for me from the time I was 15. So I started lifting weights at 15 years old, reading the muscle mags. I was that girl that wanted the muscles, and at that time it was not popular. I was a competitive gymnast prior to this. I went on to run the weight room in my college. I was a Division I college strength and conditioning coach for hockey in Minnesota. That's where I grew up. I started doing, I taught everything under the sun at that time. I started personal training. I did triathlons in my 20s, and then I got sober and finally started pursuing the dream that I had had since I was 15 years old to be a professional bodybuilder and hopefully one day make it in those pages of the magazines to that Olympia stage.
And you definitely did. In 2013, you were third at the Olympia in the new physique
on the Olympia
division,
stage.
WPG. Was that the second year of the physique division?
It was actually the first. It was the second year of physique. So in 2012, I won all three shows that I had entered in the women's physique division. However, you know, it takes that one additional year to get into the Olympia. So yeah, we've got the medals back
yeah,
there.
I see that.
See it back there.
Immediately I recognize that.
We stand here with an Olympian. Congratulations for all your achievements, Sara. Serena,
Thank you.
how about you?
Well, I played softball most of my life and went on a full ride to the University of Kansas. And then that's where, with forearm surgeries, my career, I dove into nutrition and eating for performance. So my dream was to be on the Olympic team for softball. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but I got the opportunity to play professional softball for 4 years with all the Olympians. So it was a really fantastic experience. And then I got to go play in Europe and in Greece for two other organizations there and got to travel the world. So it was an unbelievable opportunity. Softball's opened a lot of doors for empowering women and what we're talking about today. So.
And I know that you got quite a few awards in softball, haven't you? Like you told me, Big 12 Player of the Year, All-American Award, top 10 hitters in the country, correct?
Yep.
So
Big
can you
12 Player of the Year and All-American, and my senior year I was top 10 hitter in the country, and I also had the second lowest ERA in pitching to the #1 pitcher in the world, which at the time was Kat Osterman, and she went on to be my teammate. So a lot of awesome things that happened through softball, and here we are.
Yeah, so you had to get over some hurdles prior to that, right? Prior to winning the Big 12 Player of the Year. Tell us about that story, about your injuries, and because people think you probably won that prior to, so tell us that story.
Right. So I, back in high school, broke my ulna, okay? And then I got it casted, and I cut the cast off because I wanted to continue to play because I was a punk teenager, okay? So I went on to college, and it started to cause me problems. I had a great freshman year, and then going into my sophomore year, my arm started to swell up, and they had to milk my arm between innings just to keep the swelling down so I could keep pitching. Over time, I couldn't pitch anymore, so I went to one of the Kansas City Royals doctors who ended up doing a bone shortening in my forearm. And I ended up getting a metal plate and 6 screws, and they cut 6 millimeters out in my forearm and plated the bone back together.
Okay.
And I was told I would never pitch again.
Wow.
So I remember coming out of that surgery being like, everything that you worked for your whole life is now, where am I going to go from here? And I remember coming home from the surgery and being like, I'm going to create my own destiny. I'm not going to let this defeat me. So I dove into a lot of self-help books, a lot of audio books, a lot of visualization training that I use now with my clients. And then I started doing the accountability mirror, the affirmations, and I made all of my passwords. Like my goal was to be an All-American, so I made all my passwords All-American. And
I know that you also
wanted to achieve.
You use nutrition, right? You said the healing power of nutrition to help you recover faster, right?
And then I dove into nutrition and found how that was going to heal me to get me back on the field. And so what's crazy is doctors don't speak about that, but I hired a nutritionist and started working with her on how we could heal this. So 18 months of rehab, I came back, started eating very healthy. And that's when I returned to the field and received Big 12 Player of the Year.
You received all the awards.
Right. So you received those awards after the doctors told you that you would never pitch again. That's amazing.
Or play softball again.
Wow. Or play softball again. Amazing. Great story.
That is absolutely amazing. I want to hear Sara's story though. Sara, you just mentioned, right, you mentioned about sobriety and how fitness saved you, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Absolutely. So at 15, like I said, I was daydreaming and wanting to be essentially like Linda Murray. And, you know, I started drinking at the age of 12.
Oh,
and
that's a little early.
I knew at about 16 that I had a problem. This was an all or nothing thing for me. I couldn't control it. It was definitely a mental obsession along with obviously the physical. And I'm a tough cookie, so I managed it for a while. I really, throughout those years, I really lived both lives. So I had friends that, you know, would party and do that sort of thing. And then, of course, I had my fitness lifestyle. And it was a tough thing to keep up. And I felt very much like a fraud. Because I really, again, I was torn between these two lives. At 29 and many times in between, I tried to stop and I was able to stop, but it was that constant that would keep me from my dreams, from my goals. At 29 years old, I finally truly got on my hands and knees and asked for help. I started going to AA regularly. And I submitted myself to their program. And their program is one, and this is something I often tell people, you know, we don't need motivation as much as we need integrity. And we need to live by our word. Our word is everything. And when you've been living essentially a lie for as long as I was, this was a very painful time, of course. A lot of, you've got to look in the mirror. You've got to get really honest with yourself. But this is the thing that allowed me then to do what I've been able to do in my career. If I did not have that, you know, whenever things go wrong in our lives or challenges, you know, we go, why me? I couldn't have done what I've done without getting sober and also without being an addict, alcoholic. Obviously, I'm in recovery now, 16 years. But what that program taught me was how to live by my word again. Obviously, how to create a life that was in conjunction with my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs. I had to get much more mentally tough. 1 year after getting sober, I competed in my first show. It was the 2007 Sean Ray. It was very competitive. There's many, many IFBB pros from that particular show. I won that show, the overall and figure. I then went on the next year to compete at the California State Show. I didn't know a soul. I won that as well. 2 years later, I then turned pro and you can look up my competition history. But without learning and putting those steps into place on a daily basis, living by your word, doing what you say you're going to do, obviously pressing through fear, removing resentments. This is what I coach on. And people ask all the time, you know, what makes me different as a coach? And it is what I've learned from recovery.
That is that's absolutely fascinating, Sara. And you know, hats off to you for doing that. That is a lot of effort.
And I've heard that in alcoholism when they say introduce themselves and they say, I'm a grateful alcoholic. People don't really understand, like, how can you possibly be grateful for something as alcoholism? Well, it's because when you go through challenges, you know, through the valleys, it helps you to, for that, going through that. And, you know, I see your flavor when you're on stage. We sat at a restaurant and we talked about drinking and your sobriety. And then it just made so much sense to me seeing you on stage, your flavor, the peace that you bring to us. So, you know, I'm grateful for your sobriety and grateful for your alcoholism. You're recovered.
That is so the truth of it. And I remember my mother coming to meetings occasionally with me, and she would say, Sara, this is just good life information. And I said, absolutely. And that is what I bring to my clients, what I've learned.
This is exactly what I wanted to say. I'm so proud that you took this and you applied it on your clients, right? You, both of you ladies, you have created groups where women can join and you can empower them. Serena, in a few sentences, would you be able to tell me what's your coaching philosophy?
My coaching philosophy is first to build trust with the client, building trust with them, and then trying to find their niche in fitness. So if I can find something that they love, then we can create this a lifestyle for them instead of a diet, instead of a quick fix. And then really diving into their why. Like, so many people come in and say, hey, I want to lose weight, I want to look good in a bikini, but the real transformation is, why are you doing this? What is deeper in your soul? The mind, body, soul connection for true transformation. And that's what I work with a lot. I work a lot, and I learned that on working on extreme weight loss on ABC. I really worked on, people don't get that overweight unless they have pushed trauma down for so many years. So it's really about working with the mind and body together.
Because we're talking about those clients that you had at the Extreme Weight Loss reality show in ABC, you said, right? And we're talking about people that weigh 400, 500 pounds, right? We're not talking about somebody who wants to shed 50 pounds and look good. That is a case of an illness, right? At that point.
Yeah, I would say it's similar to maybe alcoholism. Maybe she can like relate, or but it's a disease that they're fighting, and so we're trying to really break down those walls and get to the core of the issue.
Yes. What I find fascinating is when you just said the idea that the fact is that they didn't get that big and that sick without already having some issues in their life, mental issues and things they suppress.
Yes, absolutely. And so I've taken that in my training now with any size of people, that it really has to be, and I know Sara's big on this, but the mind, body, soul connection for true transformation. And I get so many people that come in and they just want to lose the weight, but they don't work on this. And we don't see transformation.
And I want to hear a little bit more what we do from the inside out after this commercial.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
And we're back. Sara, how do we work on this from the inside out?
Well, thank you. That is my company name. Alina knows that. And that's really, you guys, I found my business card that I made from 18 years old. So this is something that I have believed in and never understood at 18 years old when I started training people that I only saw them 2 or 3 hours a week. It never made sense to me. This has to be the entire picture, the totality of your life. I can write you the most amazing diet, which I will. I can help you learn flexible dieting. I can teach you correct form, how to create workouts, how to push yourself. But if you don't change the thoughts in your mind, and you don't start following through with what you say you're going to do, it doesn't matter what that is the root of everything. It is. And I believe addiction, I don't know, it's a very like dirty word for people. And the reality is we all are on that scale to some extent. Okay. If you are doing things that you don't want to be doing, that you keep doing, you are addicted in some way.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you don't have to be drinking a bottle of wine a night. Okay, so that's something I really want people to understand. If there is something that you want to be doing that you are not doing, we need to look within. We need to look at your mindset. We need to look at how you prepare your mind for your day, the perspective that you have on yourself, on food, on others. That is what I do best.
And that's exactly what you find those causes, right? For all the issues.
What I also think is that within our industry, whether it be bodybuilders, women physique competitors, or just athletes, it's so important to experience what you guys have experienced, and it's so important for us to talk about this with our audience, because we just don't recognize, like, it helps you to, even when we're on our extreme diets, when we're in that place and you're going for the gold and you get there, you have to be able to transition. And again, it's an inside job. So I think that is so important. I watch a lot of the athletes, step on stage, and even if you win the Olympia or you place 5th, or you just have to be able to, how can I say it? It's an inside job. Know why you're there, because even if you walk away with the trophy, doesn't mean you wake up the next morning. It's like, I've been addicted to, I guess, with no balance, addicted to, the training, waking up in the morning, cardio, measuring, weighing my food, and then when the competition's over, you have to really be able to have. It's about balance. So
it's the totality of your life, guys. I remember many shows. I mean, coming home with that first place trophy, feeling absolutely empty and sad. And we've got to look at your, like Serena said, your deeper why.
Exactly.
I do this even with my posing clients. I also remember doing this each show. Each show is a little different. When I walked into junior nationals, I had to try to prove that I was a professional, right? That I could hang. At each show, you have sort of a different purpose and a different vibe and a different, like, I want to do it better this way, or whatever that might be. And now it's different as a mom. And putting it into perspective and looking at, like you said, the totality of everything and doing it for you. It really is cliche to say it doesn't matter what trophy you get, but really at the end of the day,
it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Right. You're right. Absolutely.
But
I'll tell you. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to pass the ball to Serena, because I want to know, Serena, how do you approach the case of low self-esteem in women? I'm sure that you have a lot of your clients with this issue, right?
Absolutely. Gosh, from the skinniest person to the biggest person, I feel like a lot of us view ourselves the same way, with low self-esteem, with low confidence.
What would you say, Serena, is the percentage of women in our society, just in general, that you think they have low self-esteem?
I think like 85–90% of women really
that much
themselves with
women, we gotta stand up for ourselves. Wake up.
And I'm just guessing here, but it's like everyone I've come across, even the most beautiful, the most fit, they all have insecurities, and that's kind of been that world that has been created around us.
So how do you coach them to get over that?
I coach, well, we start with, when they show up, they start with 3 things they love about themselves. And what's funny about that, before we start training, it's so hard for my clients to come up with 3 things.
So you ask them, your first day come to train with you, tell me 3 things you like about yourselves. I like that.
Tell me 3 things you love about themselves, and they'll stumble. And if they don't believe it, we start working on those positive affirmations as I train. So I train and work on positivity, and then just a lot of self-help books and things where they're retraining those negative thought processes that have probably come from their childhood.
Oh yeah. Did you have any situation where the low self-esteem actually led to self-destruction?
Me?
Not you, some of your clients, yeah.
Oh, that have, low yes, definitely.
Every day, yeah.
Every day, Sara.
Every day you're dealing with that, yeah. I mean, here's what women, I think, have lost themselves.
Yes.
We lose ourselves because so in my experience, training, I'm going to tell you, training for the Olympia was easier than being a mom and running a business. Okay.
And just to put a little dot there, both of you are single moms. Just that our audience knows.
So that's the hardest job. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So as women, that was easier because it was a one-pointed focus. It was very selfish. Everything revolved around that. And I can't do that now. And I know my training has deepened since I've had my son, because I was sitting there and I couldn't go back to the tactics that I had learned. I couldn't do what I used to do. Endless amounts of cardio, chicken and broccoli. I was breastfeeding. I had to learn a new way.
Yeah.
And as women, we lose ourselves because we try to do it all. We say yes. And I'm going to tell you, all the women out there, first of all, I have so much respect for you, because women, you guys are warriors. You don't ever think, I can't do it, I won't do it. You do it all, almost to the detriment, well, not almost, to the detriment of ourselves. And we say, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it, until we don't got it. And then it's, and this happens very, very often, but society tells us we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. And we have to go back and go, who am I? What is important to me? One of the biggest things I do with new clients is I have them talk about what is health to you. Because what health to me is now, as a 45-year-old self-employed single mom, is completely different than what it was when I was 20, when I was competing. I want to be able to get sleep. I want to be able to have energy. I want to feel proud. I don't need to look the way I've looked in some of these photos. That's not important to me anymore. And so I think it's important for us to look at what is health to you, what is important to you as each individual woman, because that is different. And this societal, it never ends, with the photoshopping.
How do we drive that point or get the youth, the young women, to understand that point? Like, because you made a point about, in my 20s, it changes from decade to decade, 20s and 30s, and I see women and they think that we put so much emphasis on the physical and our outside, not understanding that you're going to have to transition from the 20s, definitely different from the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and you have to come to a place to really, truly come to terms with, at the end of the day, this is truly an inside job.
I truly think it's connecting what you say you're going to do and what you do. And again, identifying what is important to you. It has to, because we've got to get rid of, and I think we're starting to see it now. The way media just spoon feeds us the incorrect information, all these photoshops, it just happened recently with, I don't know, one of the Kardashians or whatnot. So, it is an internal job, and we've got to stop saying yes to some of the things that society puts on us as women.
Yeah. And I know that one of the ways to do that, like in Serena's case, for example, she created a community of beautiful women that support each other, right? How do you drive this community, Serena? How do you make the women support, help, encourage, and stay in that positive mind space to be able to, you know, have progress in everything they do?
Well, I think it's bringing women together. I think as a single mom, I kind of was completely lost myself and was looking for mom communities. And when I found these mom communities, I found out I wasn't alone. And I think that's the same with training. Bringing these women together to lift one another up, which for so long women tore each other down. And I think we're seeing so much more good of women coming together, empowering one another, knowing that we have the same feelings, we're going through the same things, let's help each other up. So I have, not only do I train these women together in groups, but I have accountability groups online where they're posting their food daily or they're posting victories. And it's just like being part of a team and not identifying ourselves as, I think, going back a little bit, like I identified myself as a softball player. And then when softball ended, I hit rock bottom, and who was I? And then I went on to become a producer. And then when that, you know, when the show got canceled and I hit rock bottom, because I kept identifying myself as,
as this thing,
as a job,
as this, as a softball player, as anything outside of yourself, being comfortable in your own skin.
Being comfortable in your own skin. And I don't think we ever really looked truly inside to define ourselves as empowering, as motivational, as, you know what I mean? So that's what these groups, bringing these women together, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I had to, I mean, I've been in this industry now for over 40 years, and I had to come to terms with looking at that picture of myself when I was Miss Olympia and ripped and in that condition, and just truly being comfortable in my own skin for me to be able to go to competitions and be with current competitors and look at the athletes and the women that are like in amazing shape. And I just really had to learn how to love myself and, you know, start my day out with meditation. Just be at peace and say, I'm whole, I'm more than just an 8 times Miss Olympia. So much more than 8 times Miss Olympia. It was a great thing, but I'm so much more than 8 times
We
Miss
are
Olympia.
not defined by our successes or our failures, right? They help us in both ways, but this is not who we are. And I'm gonna come back with another extreme question for Sara after this commercial break. Sara, so I have this question. You know, I've always thought, you know, you have a client, let's say just a client. She comes in and she looks down on herself so bad. She doesn't like the way she looks. She's got so many low self-esteem issues, right? And then you take her and you bring her on stage. Well, somewhere along the line, of course, in the gym community, we know what happens. She's gonna start being encouraged. People are gonna compliment her. She's the middle point. She's got all this attention. She does her show. She places great. But then you have replaced one issue with another, because now she's not able to let go of this shape, of this attention, of being in the middle point of everything, right? So do you feel like sometimes you replace one addiction with another or one problem with another, and I'm sure that you went through this quite a few times. How do you give them heads up? How do you prevent this from happening?
Great question, and that is what I did. I'll be honest with you, Alina, for a lot of years. I was very newly sober, and I absolutely, you know, competing took over and really filled that void, and it was addicting in ways. I mean, it's very hard to get to, as you both ladies know, all four of us are aware, to get to the best in the world, it does take some level of addiction. I mean,
absolutely,
that's just the facts.
It does. Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm going to be honest with you. The last 6 years, being Quincy's mom and learning to navigate this new way has been harder than getting sober 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so when I have clients, I think the most important thing to keep this into perspective is we start at the very beginning. This can't be a conversation, the day after a show. This has to be a conversation throughout your prep. What does this mean to you? I mean, I got to be honest. I interview people more than they're interviewing me as a coach, because it has to be in the proper perspective. It has to be, it cannot be number one. And I've had this conversation many times with clients. This exact thing occurs. And I remind them that, I had a client who had 3 kids, and she was getting very obsessed with this. And as you guys both know, there's not much money to be made, and it takes a long time. Even people at the top of the sport are still doing their other jobs, right? And this supplements things. It's keeping things in perspective, realizing that I know it sounds strange, but if you are doing this for the body, you're going to be in a tough spot. I remember my first coach, the night before my first show, she said, "Don't fall in love with this body." And I'm thinking, what? Isn't this why we did this? What are you talking about?
Right.
So you've got to understand that anything that you're not willing to continue to do, so you will lose that body. It will go away. Now, what I'm happy about is oftentimes people's normal changes, and they have a new normal, and they know what they're capable of. They've been pressed and they found their strength. However, you've got to understand, if you don't want to keep eating fish and asparagus, your body's going to change. But I remember that I feel like I got into wait a minute, like she pulled the rug out from me, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to keep this body.
But I worked for it.
I know. So that's nowadays, I know for myself and for many people, they want a body that they can keep. And I know that is where I am at personally. I don't want one that's going to be going up and down all around, whether that be hormones or time in the gym. I want a body that I can keep. And that's typically, obviously I've got my competitors, and that's a different ball game.
That's a different story,
But I always do a 4-week reverse diet. We talk about it from the get-go, putting it into proper perspective. But nowadays, I know for me, I want a body that I can keep, and I want peace.
Exactly.
In my life.
So if you keep this goal and pass this goal to your clients, they're going to be happy about it, right?
Yeah.
Talking about,
I don't want to bring them to a place that they have to then repair from, right? So, again, it changes, but having a good coach that can walk you through that, make sure that it's in proper perspective, as well as understanding how to reverse diet and, put this into a proper perspective in your life.
Well, a good coach is very important, but so is a good client. Serena, have you ever had to fire somebody, one of your clients?
I wouldn't say fire, but I can say tough love. I'm more of a tough love coach. So
how tough can you get, though?
Especially after I've developed trust with them. I have walked out on 2 or 3 clients and just got in my car and drove off. And made them go home and really reassess. They can go to any trainer, but I offer something different. Do you know what I mean? I offer something where we're working with mind, body, soul. So I wouldn't say.
But why did that happen? What did they do that they put you in that position?
They didn't want to do sleds, and they threw a big fit about it. And I just remember saying that there are going to be things in life that you don't want to do, and they just kept going back and forth saying they didn't want to do it. So I remember I just had enough because the excuses had gone on for so long. So I literally just got in my car and drove off and left them at the gym to think about, and they showed up to their next training session and said they wouldn't do that again. But
Yeah, I think that is
the most
definitely
exciting story, but
yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest challenge that we face when you're dealing with a client, because they all come to us usually thinking that 1 hour that their goal is to lose weight or to change their body, and it's challenging because you have to, you know, work with them to get them to really understand. You're here with me 1 hour, there's 23 hours left in the day, you know, and just, you have to really come to terms with that it's not just about losing weight. It's not just about, it's really about feeling good. Because feeling good is guaranteed. When you work out, you're going to feel good after that first week. And if you can just hang in there and stay consistent, the weight or whatever you're trying to accomplish will come. And first of all, I think you'll really come to a place of just learning to look in the mirror, whether you lose weight or not. Just, wow, I love me.
So we know what
they obviously need you because they hired you. They can't do this on their own.
No, they can't. So
they're not going to push themselves and do things that are uncomfortable. But that's all about transformation and working through those barriers and getting better. So it's really not even about the sleds. It's about being uncomfortable and embracing being uncomfortable.
So we know what gets you fired with Serena. Sara, what's your dream client?
Oh man, you know what? My dream client is just do what I say. No, I joke because I am not a dictator. I've had coaches over the years that they would just say, do what I say. And I'm, you know me, you guys know me. I'm not going to just do what I want to learn. And many people do, but there is a time in the process where you need to just do it. Like it needs to happen. Like do what you say you're going to do. Now, throughout that process, you're going to learn. You're going to kind of understand things more. But at the beginning, and this was the same when I got sober, I didn't know how to live without alcohol. Okay, so I had to rely on people that had done it before me, and I had to trust that they knew how to do this because I did not know. It's the same with training. If you are working with someone, first of all, you need to be able to trust them, like Serena said, and you've got to start tearing that Band-Aid off and doing what you say you are going to do. And that's really critical because the reality is you don't know how to do it. If you did, you would have done it by now.
And that's when the integrity you talked about comes into place, right?
Yep. And it's, I had a client, I said, listen, these 2 glasses of wine or whatever it is each night was affecting her. I said, listen, and here's the thing, we're grown. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to get rid of the wine. Fine. You don't want to get rid of the cupcakes. Fine. Understand and get real. If you don't want to do that, this is what your body's going to look like. And go on and love yourself.
Right. Yeah, I see the pressures. I do see the pressures of, like, when I look at both of you, each of you, for example, with Sara, training a client for a competition, there's the pressure of, that athlete kind of like representing you. And then if you're training a client and let's say people usually watch you train that person, or they watch and they expect that girl to like lose weight. And that was a pressure for me. I'm like, wow, like, you're one-on-one with your client. You know what her goals are. And again, it's a challenging job to be in because your clients, basically, they're an example. It's you. That's your work. But we know our clients one-on-one. We know what's actually going on with them. And it's always been challenging for me when I have competitors come up to me and say, do you train people? Will you prepare me for a competition? Yeah. I view that as, wow, such a challenge to go through. And it was the same when I trained clients and they may have been overweight. I never declined, but I also recognized that people were watching me and there was pressure kind of on me, but I let go of that. So I know you both deal with that.
there is definitely pressure and responsibility on the trainer side, right? But I would like to wrap this up, Serena. I want to know what is rewarding for you in this job. What do your clients give you back in return when you give them so much confidence and so much of your experience?
I think the most rewarding thing is when they're not only transform, but they become a better mother, a better friend, a better spouse, a better in their job. That's what I teach. True transformation doesn't just say, I want to be a size 2 or 0. True transformation is working through from the inside out and having everything else in your life align and get better. That's true transformation.
What's there to be added to this, Sara?
Oh, yeah. When people start being honest and real and start living in the life that honors them, you know, I've had many people change jobs, change relationships throughout this process. And that, you know, to align more with who they are. You know, when I see women remember, can I swear? Remember who the F they are.
That's it.
When they come back to who they are as women, when they believe, listen. And this is why I really encourage women out there to work with a woman coach, because I'm going to tell you, I know how strong y'all are. Some men get it. We are so much stronger than people give us credit for. And when I see women leaning into that strength, pressing into ways and things that they never thought they could do, just like Serena said, it starts to permeate and create a ripple effect, not only in their life, but in their children's lives, in their families' lives, in their profession. That excites me, and that's what we're doing this for. So that we're proud of who we are and we are living our true selves.
This was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate, you know, your level of vulnerability and discussing difficult topics with us and with our audience. And I'm sure that everybody will love it. We'll see all of this motivation that you guys give us and all of this beautiful insight. Thank you so much for being these beautiful women and sharing it out with the world.
Yep. Thank you.
Serena, Sara, see you next time. And everybody there, catch us on our next episode of FemFlex Friday.